That is a bomb. I have just armed it. Don't move. You move, the bomb detonates. If I hear any alarms or sirens, I detonate the bomb. Understand? Good.
You've done conspiracy thrillers before, but this is different. How are you describing this to family and friends?
Well, it has some similarities to 24, which is obviously a thriller genre-oriented show that I've done and had massive success with. And the tentpole for a thriller is really pretty simple. You take a main character and you turn them upside down, slap them around a bit, show them to the street, and say, now let's see you fight to survive, right? And that's the kind of germ of a thriller. How you fill in the rest of it and how you deal with the characters is really individual and unique to its own story. And so John Weir and Jack Bauer, I mean, aside from the fact that they look alike, are vastly different characters. Jack Bauer is much more of a blunt instrument than John Weir. John Weir is like a surgical scalpel. Jack Bauer will run into a fight. John Weir will run away from a fight. You know, and so they're just dynamically different. And the world that they're living in the context of our show, is dynamically different. And also something that I'm actually really excited for audiences to see, because the truth is we as a society are going through an incredible technical revolution. And I think it's going to take us decades to kind of adapt to all of the things that implies. And we address that in the context of our show. And in the context of our show, we show you how easily someone with some skill can kind of manipulate your own information against you. And it creates a very kind of frightening curtain for which behind this show portrays itself.
Glenn and John, the series creators, have said this is sort of inspired by 70s thrillers. Mm-hmm. Is that a genre that you found yourself kind of looking back and liking?
I mean, as far as I can remember watching movies, I mean, those were the films that I wanted to one day make, you know. So when I think of films like 3 Days of the Condor, Marathon Man, Parallax View, All the President's Men, I mean, all those great thrillers of that time. Don't Look Now, a film that my father made with Nick Rogue. It was just another one of those classic kind of movies. They were just, I just identified with those characters kind of fighting this fight against an insurmountable odd and still going through with it. There was something, maybe that's what I wished I would be as a person myself. But I certainly identify to the genre very strongly. And then with this character, John Weir, I think John and Glenn have just kind of really delicately woven these fantastic contradictions in the character, which is what I think a great character needs, because I think that's what we are as people, is kind of walking contradictions of our own selves. And then they managed to give John Weir a kind of a fantastic grasp of sarcasm. And so it was nice to actually do a scene every once in a while that made someone laugh instead of cry.
All our questions going to be answered?
Never. No. And that's such a great, it's a great metaphor, right? When I'm thinking about that, just kind of as a human being, are all our questions going to be answered? All our questions are never answered.
Was it easy, thinking back to 24, it's been almost 10 years, was it easy to sort of break away from that? You had Designated Survivor, you had Touch, as you just mentioned.
Well, 24 is kind of entrenched in the marrow of my bones, right? I did that for a decade. I made 230-something episodes of that, to each episode an hour long. I just know that character, right? So when I play someone like John Weir, I just know intrinsically that I'm not playing Jack Bauer, right? Because I'm just doing something that was so kind of, was such a part of my life. And so exploring a new character like that is kind of refreshing and exciting, and it doesn't mean that I don't have a great affection for Jack Bauer in 24, because I do, and I always will.
That ending was still unresolved. Are we going to get some resolution to Jack's story?
I don't know. I think eventually you will. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I might be too old by that time, but I've always felt that 24 as a show was something that can go on. I just thought the big idea of shooting a thriller in real time, I would be saddened to think that someone wasn't going to do something with that idea.
Looking back on your career, so many cool characters.
Thank you.
So many great movies. Mr. Sutherland, which one for you? What movie for you? What role for you still stands out? As if you're flicking around the channels one night and one of your old movies is on, what one do you always stop on?
Well, preferably an old one, because it's like looking at a yearbook, right? And you get to see, oh, that's what you look like in grade 9. And there's something kind of very nostalgic about that when you see like a Lost Boys or a Young Guns, and those are all still friends of mine, and those were memories that we had that I don't think any of us will forget because we were so young and it was so exciting. And yeah, it just puts a smile on your face.
So what would young Kiefer think of where he ended up?
I think I'd be really grateful. I often think if, and I try to impress upon this with my kids too, is if I was going to ever talk to my younger self, I would tell myself not to worry so much and just kind of, it's going to be all right, right? And I think that's a proclivity of youth. I think there's great panic in youth because all these things are brand new, and and in my case, I was 19 years old and had kids and this and that and the other, and so I think a lot of moments that I might have had that were really special, wonderful moments when I was younger, kind of I didn't acknowledge very much because I was already worried about the next thing down the line. So to young people, I know it sounds scary and it probably feels really scary, but if you can, take a moment and enjoy the ride.
There's definitely something bigger going on here.
What have you gotten me into?